They know right from wrong, but they still want to do wrong to prove that they can. Hey everyone, Henry Yellow here, welcome back. Right now we are going to watch Compulsion from 1959. This is part of my Orson Welles rotation because Orson Welles is in this movie, but he didn't direct it. The film was directed by Richard Fleischer. When I first saw the movie poster for the film, you know why we did it? Because we damn well felt like doing it. And then I saw the picture of these two men, and I thought it sounded so familiar. It sounded very much like Hitchcock's Rope. The film is based on the 1956 novel by Meyer Levin, which in turn was a fictionalized account of the Leopold and Loeb murder trial. Hitchcock's Rope was actually based on the play, and the play was inspired by the real-life murder of the 14-year-old Bobby Franks in 1924. They're similar, but not the same. If you'd love to watch my full reaction to this movie, then go ahead and check out my Patreon. Link is in the description below. And if you'd love to see more of my reactions to these type of movies, then go ahead and hit the subscribe button and turn on your post notifications, because I have a long list of many movies to watch, and I hope we can all watch it together. Are you ready to watch Compulsion? Let's go.
To the perfect crime.
$67 and a second-hand typewriter. I told you to leave it alone. When we made the deal, you said you could take orders. You said you wanted me to command you.
I do.
He was gonna hit him.
There was a man in the road. You didn't even see him.
Yes, I did. You drive.
Trying to kill somebody?
He's drunk. We better get out of here.
Oh, nice.
You come back here. I'll show you who's smart.
He's asking for it. Give it to him. That's an order, Judd. Get him! Hit him!
It would have been murder.
You know why I tried it, Judgy? Because I damn well felt like it.
Compulsion. It could also be called impulse. The impulse to commit a crime, to steal, to murder.
About missing that drunk on the road.
Forget it.
Please, Artie. I'll do anything you say.
Anything? I want to do something really dangerous.
Something brilliant. The two tested the superior intellect with every little detail worked out.
You'd get panicky again.
It must be done as an experiment. Detached, with no emotional involvement. And no reason for it except to show that we can do it.
We can do it.
Where have you been? Father was worried about the car.
Apparently his concern for me didn't give him insomnia.
Don't be a smart aleck. Where were you?
Artie happens to be a gentleman.
I think he's a dirty, evil...
Keep your filthy mouth shut!
I know what kind of trouble you can get into. I'm worried about you, Judd. Will you listen to me? Judd, listen!
I must agree with Nietzsche. Tribal codes and such do not necessarily apply to the leaders of society.
All men are bound by law, Mr. Steiner.
If you've read him, sir, he conceives the Superman as being detached from such human emotions as anger and greed and lust and the will to power.
If we were all super intellects, we would nevertheless evolve our own code of laws.
About this Nietzsche stuff, do you really think there are super intellects?
Yes, as a matter of fact, I do.
So then.
At 9 o'clock, we'll make it a big celebration.
Sharp.
What are we celebrating?
Little business deal we got cooking, huh, Judsy?
Look, how come you told him you'd go? You know, those boys are millionaires, sons. I haven't got that kind of money to throw
It
around.
was Artie's idea. Let him pay. I like to pay my own way.
Yeah,
I
well,
know.
okay, I'll starve for a week.
Mother'll feed you again.
There's been a report on a drowned kid that was pulled out of a car at Higwish Park. Check with Tom Daly before you run off. He's working on a kidnapping, maybe a tie-in.
Yes, sir.
Drowned, they said. Show you something. Kid's glasses. See how stiff this is? Dried blood. What's the matter? This boy was hit on the head with a blunt instrument 2-3 times.
I'm at the morgue. I think I've got something. The description fits to a T.
I want to see if I can get somebody from the Kessler family to come over with me and make a positive identification. Just one more question, sir. Did Paulie wear glasses?
No.
Mr. Kessler?
I'm Jonas Kessler, boy's uncle.
And there's no question it is your nephew, sir?
No.
If we used Plato's system, all children would be wards of the state and assured of being educated correctly.
Wouldn't that be terribly sad and impersonal? Children do have feelings and emotions.
Of course they do, but for whom? Why should it be their parents? They didn't choose them. I certainly didn't choose mine.
Do you know about the kidnapping, the little Kessler punk? If he hadn't identified the body when he did, the Kesslers would have paid the ransom. How about that?
About the glasses.
Glasses? What do you mean? What kind of glasses?
Eyeglasses. Police thought they belonged to the boy, but they looked pretty big to me.
They did it.
Anyone could have dropped them.
But anybody didn't. They must belong to the murderers.
Oh, Artie.
Well, just wash it off.
The check.
Yeah, the check.
Now he has to pay.
There goes the bonus. Thanks, I'll bring you the change.
I can't find them. They've got to be here somewhere. I couldn't have left them out there.
He left him there like a calling card, didn't he, Teddy?
You picked my coat up. You grabbed it up by the tail and tossed it to me. That's when they fell out.
We said dump the body in the lake, but no, he had a stroke of genius. Shoved the kid in the culvert. Nobody'll ever find him there. The first guy by on his way to work pulled him out of that stinking culvert.
I don't know how I could have been so stupid.
You were.
I could go in and claim the glasses tomorrow.
Did you go out to the parking lot?
With my students, sure. I don't have to know when I dropped them. I happen to be an ornithologist sergeant with special permission from the Department of Parks to take my classes on field trips.
No, Wednesday afternoon. About
Wednesday?
6
Oh, no,
o'clock.
sir. Because it was just about that time that a friend of mine and I picked up a couple of girls on Lakeshore Drive. Their names were May and Edna.
Betty and Edna, you
No,
idiot.
Artie. We agreed on May and Edna. I know we did.
When you start remembering details like that, they know it's an alibi.
You promised you'd stick by it. You swore you would.
I'll stick to it. For a week, and not a minute longer. After that, I'll make up my own alibi. What's going on?
Well, they know the boy was in school on Wednesday, so they think he might have been picked up along here somewhere.
The older kids stay on the playground until 5.
How do you happen to know so much about it?
I went here for 6 years.
I'd like to talk to you for a minute, Artie.
Sure, Lieutenant.
Well, what about the teachers? Any oddballs?
Well, Mr. Henderson was one.
Any others?
Pop Wiggin.
He feels like he's controlling the police.
I think it's fascinating. I'd love to go out there sometime.
Really?
Yes, I would.
I'm going out Thursday afternoon.
What's this about Judd and Thursday?
He wants to take me out to Hegwish Park.
Watching Judd and all the other strange birds.
Stop it. Judd isn't as strange as you're making him out to be.
Birds, a genius IQ, graduate school at 19.
His smug expression is slappable.
Somebody phoned in and said they saw some mysterious van throw a bunny in the sewer here on Wednesday night.
Find anything?
Sure, just what you'd expect to find in a sewer.
I wonder if there's any place I can find a phone around here.
Well, use the one in my house, Mr. Daly. I live right here.
Come on.
Nobody's thought of the possibility of the kidnapper being a woman. I remember a nurse that the Kesslers had for Polly. She did some of the weirdest things you ever saw.
He's misdirecting the police.
What do you think about that nursemaid, Sid?
I think she'd sweat as much as the school teachers.
You surely don't think I tell the lieutenant about them just to get them in trouble, do you?
Think the school will take them back?
But gee, I hadn't thought of that.
He did it on purpose.
They did make a positive identification of the typewriter that was used to write the ransom note. An Underwood portable with a bent key, they're sure of it.
None of us will get a wink's sleep until this fiend has been captured. Every one of us has children, and
The fiend is right beside you, your own son.
Polly's just the kind of cocky little punk you'd pick.
Arthur, that's a terrible thing to
See,
say.
you said yourself he was a fresh little smart aleck who wanted
I've
to
said the
spank.
same thing about every child in this neighborhood.
Central 1099.
Where'd you get that typewriter, Steiner?
I was just trying to get you damn fool.
I don't keep an Underwood portable with a bent key. Didn't I tell you to get rid of that thing?
I'll find a place for it.
And leave another pair of glasses? This time I'll do it myself. Stuck you.
Not tomorrow afternoon.
Oh, you got another date? You ditching me for some girl?
So what if he is?
Good idea. We'll have her out there all alone, huh? No witnesses?
That's all he thinks about.
I just hadn't thought of that.
But this is your chance. We agreed to explore all the possibilities of human experience, didn't we? Don't tell me you haven't got the nerve. And the best part is that Ruth won't be suspecting a thing.
Yeah, because she trusts Judd.
You want me to order you to, Judge?
Oh, it's beautiful. What is it, Judge?
Don't do it, Judd.
There's no such thing as sadness. Only the reality of things happening. That's where they found the body of the Kessler boy. Is that sad?
Yes, it is.
What's one life, more or less? There were 9 million people killed in the war. What does one little Chicago boy matter?
You're not that cruel.
It's just a simple experience. Murder and rape. Do you know what beauty there is in evil?
Is there?
Why don't you run?
Is that what you want me to do?
Yes.
Then run.
Are you afraid of me?
I'm afraid for you, Judd. I'm afraid for you.
Whoa. Her choice of words really made all the difference.
I'm so ashamed.
But that's only because Judd still has a conscience, unlike Artie.
When they get to the slaughterhouse, he ducks to one side and the silly sheep go in to get their throats cut. That black devil knows it.
Did you get rid of the typewriter?
There's a bit out back where they bury all the engines. Nobody will go near that.
After thinking about it, I realized there was nothing really distinctive about them. There must be hundreds exactly like
4,200 to be exact. I asked Lieutenant Johnson. Now we know. They can't trace 4,200 there. They can't trace anything. Come on, let's go watch them slaughter the sheep.
I just don't understand it. I'm positive I had them last night.
You wanted to talk personally to anybody on the list who didn't have their glasses.
I see.
They are tracking all the pairs.
But it is possible you could have dropped these out there.
Yes, it is possible. If they actually were mine, sir.
And you were out there Tuesday, the day before the crime.
Yes, sir.
It's entirely logical that your glasses could have dropped. Funny they didn't drop out of my pocket. Do you suppose you could show us how these glasses might have fallen out of your pocket?
They didn't fall out of my pocket either.
No. Could you have taken it off and then picked it up later?
Well, this is all purely academic if they're not really my glasses, isn't it, sir?
But these happen to be your glasses. A firm in Rochester developed this new hinge. Elmer Co. is their only outlet here. They sold 3 pairs.
Don't underestimate the police investigation.
Now, how would you like to tell us about Wednesday afternoon?
Now he's gonna have to use his alibi.
Must say, you've given us a very detailed account of your activities, Judd.
Very detailed. I like their reflections on the glasses.
Driving around in your Stutz Bearcat, hot dog stand mayonnaise, none of it is particularly easy to check. I know how you feel about involving a friend, and I appreciate your family's feelings about picking up stray girls, but you might consider my position, too. I'll never say anything too easy for your families if you tell me your friend's name.
His name is Artie Strauss.
If you pick him up and bring him in, he may be able to help us some more.
Assuming Artie hasn't changed his alibi, or is he gonna throw Judd under the bus?
Dinner's at 8:30 and Dad likes me to be on time, particularly when we're having guests. Judge Conway?
Judge Conway of the Superior Court. Won't you sit down, Artie?
I'd prefer to stand if you don't mind, sir. But please.
He didn't want to sit in that particular chair, the interrogation chair.
Last Wednesday. That's over a week ago. Yeah, this is Thursday.
Over a week. He's gonna change his alibi?
Well, I know we went to the Edgewater Beach Monday. That was a party. And the Four Deuces Friday.
He's acting so naturally.
I went to the movies. Alone.
And that's all you remember about Wednesday night? What about that other matter?
Oh, May and Edna? Did he say something about 2 girls named May and Edna? Judd's broken his word of honor to me. He promised he'd never tell it to anybody. Why, Artie? He knows what'll happen if my family finds out. Well, what else did he tell you that we...
Artie, have you been lying? Do you realize what the consequences could be?
It'd be as bad as what my old man will do.
He doesn't need to find out. Here we are, Mr. Judge. Will this be satisfactory?
Excellent, fantastic.
How many languages do you speak, John?
14, including English and German and Italian.
Impressive.
By the way, that Stutz is a 2-seater, isn't it? You see, in a 2-seater, a girl has to sit in your lap. I don't think they had anything to do with it. If they'd have come up with the same stories right away, I might have thought something was fishy.
I would like to see them caught, though. They committed a murder. They murdered an innocent boy.
We can't hold them much longer without a charge. I'm surprised the families haven't sent a lawyer down here before this.
All right, I'll release them. Who's this?
He's the Steiner chauffeur.
You stay here and drive him home.
I knew all along the boys couldn't have done it.
How?
Mr. Judd Stutz was in the garage all afternoon.
Ooh.
Bearcat. Thank you very much, Albert. I wish we'd known this before.
The chauffeur ruined their plans.
Well, they almost had us believing him.
That still doesn't prove
It proves they lied, and this time I'm going to get the truth. Which one will we hit with it first?
Naturally, Judd.
Artie's the wise guy. Nice and cocky. I'll bust him apart at the seams.
Oh, he wants to target Artie, the tougher one.
It's all over, Steiner. Your partner's confessed everything.
Isn't this the sort of thing they do in detective stories?
I drove it. Judd Steiner was sitting in the back seat with Paulie Kessler. Judd told him to be quiet, and then he hit him.
Oh, that weakling. That inferior weakling.
Artie threw him under the bus to save himself.
He said that he's lying. And I didn't kill Polly, Mr. Strauss did. He's lying.
He's the best lawyer in the country.
That atheist, he's a skeptic who makes a mockery of religion. A lying, drunken jury swayer, but a winner. I want the number of Jonathan Wilk, W-I-L-K.
I threw the taped chisel into the bushes at the side of the road.
And as far as killing the kid goes, I was sitting in the back seat where... I mean the front seat.
The front seat or the back?
He tripped up. Now we have Orson Welles.
Suppose I ought to consider it a minor victory that the boys weren't hanged before I got here.
They will be soon enough. Before you decide on a plea, Dr. Stauffer, I've been observing them. In their opinion, the boys are completely sane.
Is it true, Sid?
Yes, it is.
Oh, I just can't believe it.
And the confessions they signed will take them right to the gallows.
Oh, my God. I can't help feeling sorry for Judd and for Artie.
They plotted a cold-blooded killing and went through with it like an experiment in chemistry.
Judd isn't like that. He tried to attack me.
Attack is putting it lightly.
Dirty little degenerate.
He made an attempt at it. He couldn't go through with it, Sid. He was like a child, a sick, frightened child.
You sound as though you're sorry he didn't go through with it.
It's not like that. Well, Sid went a little too far with his words.
I hope he hangs till the rope rots.
Rewrite. Sid, he pleaded him not guilty. That's right, not guilty.
You're actually going to conduct a psychiatric study on them? Haven't the state psychiatrists already pronounced them sane?
Indeed they have.
It's after a searching and exhaustive study, isn't it right, Harold? 10 minutes in a crowded hotel room.
Do you really think these boys don't know the difference between right and wrong?
They know. They know right from wrong, but they still want to do wrong to prove that they can. Oh, they can all right, but they're gonna pay the price. Orson Welles seemed much more like Orson Welles in this movie compared to Touch of Evil.
Just in case the clutches decide.
I prefer you didn't. I don't think we ought to worry our heads over the kind of folks whose reaction to an emotional situation is to pull a sheet over their head.
Any comments on this fiery cross business?
To deny the rich the same right of defense as the poor might be to go along with the same kind of thinking that started that fire.
Both he and Artie showed no more emotional maturity than 7-year-old. It's amazing, isn't it? Most of us agree that Judd is paranoid and Artie's schizophrenic.
Not enough to be declared medically insane.
Well, that's a very indefinite term, Mr. Wilk.
You know that guard that brings us up here every day? For $5,000, he could be looking the other way when we come past the admitting desk. 3 steps, we're outside.
On a mad dash to the Canadian border, Artie? Aside from each other, you don't have any close friends.
We didn't have any other friends because there was no one of sufficient intelligence and maturity worth cultivating.
Oh, no one worth cultivating.
Will Mumsy be? My mother be there? And Dad?
Tuesday, the old lady has the bridge club. The old man's got his regular date at the country club.
The perpetrators of this crime shall be convicted and hanged as swiftly as possible.
The court will approve. You intend at this time to change the plea to guilty.
What?
We're changing a plea to guilty.
Wow.
I demand an explanation for this fantastic about-face.
We hired you on your reputation as a manipulator of juries. Sitting in that courtroom today, studying that jury. We wouldn't have had a chance with him. Here in Illinois, when you plead guilty, you don't have to have a jury. I'll be talking just to the judge. I hope you'll be more tolerant than any jury. tell us how far this schizophrenia had progressed with Artie Strauss.
We do know the habit of lying, indulging in fantasies, was having difficulty distinguishing between what was true and what was not.
Paranoia encompasses a very positive feeling of being right and a strong neurotic suspicion of being persecuted because of those feelings.
I know I'm right, and I have a distinct feeling of being persecuted by the defense. Do you think I should be committed?
The subject to be debated here is Mr. Horn's sanity. Only a jury could determine that.
I felt he was alone and terribly unhappy.
Did Judd give any demonstration that he liked you as a woman?
He kissed me. The unhappiness I sensed in him caused him to commit a violent and insane crime. I felt sorry for him then, and I feel sorry for him now.
Sid Brooks must feel so much pain in his heart.
Certainly there was no excuse for the killing of little Paulie Kessler. There was also no reason for it. It wasn't for spite or hate. If Your Honor shall doom these boys to die, it'll be because their parents are rich. There's never been a case in Chicago where, on a plea of guilty, a boy under 21 has been sentenced to death. Isn't a lifetime behind prison bars enough for this mad act? Must this great public be regaled with a hanging? So of course I'm afraid to submit this case to a jury, where the responsibility must be divided by 12. If these boys must hang, you must do it. Deliberate, cool, premeditated act.
Oh, now he's trying to pressure the judge.
Is there any one of us who hasn't been guilty of some kind of delinquency in his youth?
Not deliberate murder.
This was the mad act of two sick children who belong in a psychopathic hospital. We're told it was a cold-blooded killing because they planned and schemed. Yes, but here are officers of the state planned and schemed to take these boys' lives. Till now, men look back with horror at the hangings and killings of the past. It's been proven that as the penalties are less barbarous, the crimes are less frequent. I need to argue with Your Honor that cruelty only breeds cruelty. And if there's any way of destroying hatred and all that goes with it, through charity, love, understanding. And if killing these boys would bring him back to life, I'd say, let them go. I'm asking this court to shut them into a prison for life. Your Honor, if our state is not kinder, more human, more considerate than the mad act of these two sick boys, I'm sorry that I've lived so long. I know that any mother might be the mother of little Paulie Kessler. Any mother might be the mother of Artie Strauss. Maybe that in some ways these parents are more responsible than their children. And these might have done better if they hadn't had so much money. Do you think you can cure the hatreds and maladjustments in the world by hanging them? The world has been one long slaughterhouse from the beginning until today. Why not think instead of blindly shouting for death? Will that stop other sick boys from killing? I'm pleading not for these two lives, but for life itself. For a time when we can learn to overcome hatred with love, and that mercy is the highest attribute of men.
It was a very convincing speech.
For the crime of murder, to be confined for the term of your natural life. For the crime of kidnapping for ransom, to be confined for 99 years.
So we sweat through 3 months of misery just to hear that.
Would you prefer it to be hanging instead?
I wish they'd hung us right off the bat.
No remorse, no feeling of
remorse.
I wasn't expecting you to fall down on your knees and thank God for deliverance.
God has nothing to do with it.
If it wasn't the hand of God dropped those glasses, who did?
That was a good expression. An expression of shock and realization. Did God drop those glasses? Or did the boys drop the glasses in a moment of carelessness? Orson Welles, his character, Jonathan Wilk, gave a very convincing speech. And he definitely stole the limelight in the second half of the movie. He got them life imprisonment, and I'm assuming it is a life sentence without any chance for a parole. It really got me thinking, is that really any much better than hanging? They will no longer have any sort of freedom. They will be confined to a prison for the remainder of their life. That is very, very close to a death sentence. They might suffer, or since they're still really young, maybe in the years to come, they will reflect back on their actions, maybe feel remorse, start to feel regret. Maybe they'll turn over a new leaf, become better people. Maybe they'll guide the other prisoners. If they do eventually turn over a new leaf in prison, then perhaps this life imprisonment is worth it after all. In real life, back in September 10th of 1924, the judge sentenced both Leopold and Loeb to life imprisonment for the murder and an additional 99 years for the kidnapping. That part was exactly the same. In the actual trial of 1924, the attorney, Clarence Darrow, achieved what many thought impossible. He saved the lives of two cold-blooded child killers with the power of a speech. Perhaps that speech is very similar to what Jonathan Wilk gave in the movie just now. I assumed Leopold was the more dominant one, but I was wrong. Loeb was the more dominant one. The left one is probably Leopold and the right is probably Loeb. So Loeb is Artie and Leopold is Judd. Because the article says here that Loeb charmed everyone with his good looks and cool manner, awkward-looking Leopold tended to hide in his friend's shadow. One of the differences between Rope and Compulsion is that in Rope, the characters were acting more superior and they had a more, slightly more in-depth discussion about Nietzsche's concept of the Superman, the idea that it's possible to rise above good and evil, to rise above the law. Rope was more focused on the characters, and then Compulsion is more focused on the trial. The details are also very similar to what really happened. The victim was killed with a chisel and the body stuffed into a culvert. There was nothing linking the criminals to the crime except for a single pair of glasses. If Leopold hadn't lost his glasses, then they really might have gotten away with the murder. I have to admit that the attorney did a really good job. His arguments, his speech, the way he convinced the judge to go for life imprisonment. Do I feel sorry for Artie and Judd? No. They did what they did, fully knowing what they were doing. They planned the murder and they carried it out like an experiment. They killed an innocent 14-year-old boy. Even if they had been sentenced to hanging, I would think it was quite deserved. Jonathan Wilkes' speech talking about, repaying hatred with love and all his examples. Yes, they were very convincing. Love the speech, but I still don't agree with him. Law professor Philip Johnson describes Darrow's argument this way. Darrow was the attorney for Leopold and Loeb. Nature made them do it. Evolution made them do it. Nietzsche made them do it. So they should not be sentenced to death for it. That's no different than putting the blame on someone else and something else. In 1936, Loeb was killed in a prison fight with another inmate. In 1958, Leopold was released from prison. He died in 1971. Assuming Leopold was 18 years old when he went to prison, and he died in 1971, that would make him, I think, about 65 years old. Some people might blame their mental condition as a result of lack of love or affection from their parents, and it might really be the case. But there are also many other factors that could influence them to be this way. But that does not excuse their actions. It does not excuse what they did. I wonder if Artie and Judd would have been different if they were not born to wealthy families. Imagine if they were born to poor or middle class families, the different type of love they would receive or the different type of education they would receive. Would that have made them into different people. I think there's a highly likely possibility they would be very different. In Hitchcock's Rope, the character Brandon Shaw, played by John Dahl, he definitely had that smug expression. He pulled it off really nicely. And in this movie, I think Artie also had kind of a smug expression, but it can't be compared to the one in Rope. Still, I think the cast members here, they gave a very good performance, and I enjoyed watching this movie because it gave me a more in-depth look into the Leopold and Loeb case. It covered a little bit about the murder and then the trial afterwards. So what do you think of Compulsion? Let me know your thoughts down in the comments below. Thanks for watching this movie with me. I hope you enjoyed my reaction, and I will see you in the next video. Peace.